Hey everyone, I'm Dahlia and I'm an artist. And I have a beautiful, wonderful art studio that I love creating in every day, but that wasn't always the case. It used to be really messy and I couldn't get anything done and I just avoided my art studio. I would do work on my couch in the living room, I would do work in the bedroom, I would work anywhere that was not my studio. I just decided enough. I have a wonderful space and I want to make the most of it. So I started listening to all of these organizing and decluttering videos. I brought in a professional organizer to help me out. And all of those things combined made it possible to create a really functional, amazing space that lets me create more. So I wanted to give you guys some tips on how you can also create a functional space that will help you create more. My first tip for organizing your space is before you even start to ask yourself, why do you want to organize your space? Why are you watching this video? What are you going to get out of having a more organized, more functional space? I realized when my studio was messy, when I could barely walk from one side of the studio to the other, that I wasn't creating. I was barely creating because the studio was just so messy and it wasn't fun to be in. So if you have a messy space, your mind will be messy, you will be overwhelmed, and you will create less. Is creating important to you? If you're watching this video or you watch my channel, I assume that creativity is very important to you. So I recommend asking yourself, why is it important to me to keep this a creative, functional space? And the moment you have that answer, you will be so motivated to organize. I used to think of organizing as a chore, like, oh, this is just the thing I've got to do. I'll do it when guests come over. But then I realized I have to do it for myself, because I'm gonna create more if I give myself a good space. My second tip for you is to wake up early to organize. I wake up early every single work day to organize. I take one day off a week and every other day I organize first thing in the morning. I wake up super early. I love waking up early. I'm such a morning person. I wake up at 5, 6, or 7 a.m. at the latest. And I wake up before anyone else in the house is awake, because if I talk to people before I organize, my head's already cluttered, I'm all over the place. I need quiet time before I organize. Highly recommend waking up early to organize. It doesn't have to be 5 a.m. like me, it doesn't have to be 6 a.m., but I recommend it, honestly. I recommend waking up early to organize, going to sleep early, because you will just get so much more accomplished when no one is talking to you. You will get so much more accomplished when you're just by yourself in the studio, whatever space you're creating in. You will get more accomplished if you're by yourself and just like listening to videos like this that help you think about organizing and decluttering. My third tip for organizing and keeping a creative space is to do it every day. I don't do it every day. Let me explain. I take Saturdays off. I take one day off every week, but every other day of the week, I organize. Every single day of the week, whether it's for 10 minutes or 2 hours, I do something every day. I'll either take out the trash, I'll clear off my desk. I will do anything to create a good functional space. And I use the word functional because a lot of people, including myself, think, oh, you need to create a perfect space. And that is a terrible goal, because you won't. Because if you're using a space, it will never be perfect. So I highly recommend aiming for the goal of functional, aiming for the goal of just something, a space in which you can be productive. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be functional, and that'll help you so much. So every day, just aim for, is it functional today? Is at least one part of my studio functional? Is there a functional desk? Is there a functional painting area? Whatever it is that you do, think, is there at least one functional space I can use today to create? My next tip is only have out what you use every week, but definitely have out the things you use every week. So some people like to have everything put away and they take everything out every day. And if you're working in a shared space like your home, your bedroom, your kitchen, something like that, that makes sense. But if you have a dedicated art space, I recommend having out what you use every week. If you have things that you only use once a month out, your space will get really cluttered and it'll be hard to create. If you have the things you use only every day out, you'll be annoyed when comes Friday and you're like, oh, today's packaging day and all of my packaging stuff's away. I find that really discouraging to my productivity. So if I think, what do I use every week? That really determines for me what's gonna be out in my studio. And things that I don't use every week, I put in some sort of storage. I have a closet here that I use. But the things that I use every week are displayed out or labeled in a very easy way to find. Next piece of advice is use labels. Label everything as much as you can. If it isn't clear what is in a box, in a container, in anything, label it. I just use masking tape with a Sharpie and I write on it, or I'll use just like a name tag type thing and I'll write on it. And that helps me so much. It saves me so much time because instead of looking through 3 drawers to find pencils, I can just look and say, oh, that drawer is labeled pencils. And it helps keep up a system in the studio. So I'll be like, oh, that's the pencil drawer. So I just found a pencil on the ground. I put it in the pencil drawer. It saves so much time to have things labeled. My next tip for you is probably the most important one, which is put up big sticky notes on your walls and write down your ideas, write down your goals, write down your motivations, write down the things that you should think about every day. That really is what it comes down to. I have 3 massive sticky notes. One of my sticky notes is dedicated to content. Which platforms am I going to be on in 2022? What are the goals of my content? Why am I even making videos? What's the point? What are the keywords to describe my content? And then how many pieces of content am I making per platform per week? So the reason I decided to do that this year is because I did it a few years ago and it was so helpful and I got so much done. I did not do that for 2021. In 2021, I wrote down things in my notebook and then I put that notebook away and I never touched it again until this year. In 2021, January 1st, wrote down all my goals for the year, get 1 million TikTok followers, get 1 million Instagram followers, like all of those big goals. And then I put those notebooks away and I didn't touch them for a full year. So then I looked at those notebooks this year, January of 2022, and I was so disappointed. I was like, wow, I got almost none of my goals done. Why did that happen? And I was like, well, I didn't think about them every day and I didn't have concrete steps to get there. I just wrote, here are my goals. Here is the end product of what I would like to achieve. And I didn't think, how do I actually get there? What are concrete steps I could take that might help me get there? And that's what I did this year. So the other thing and the other reason I have things written down on the sticky note is because I get easily distracted by people. You know, I'll go to a dinner with friends, with family, and I'll talk about what I do. I'll be like, oh yeah, TikTok's going great. And someone will be like, wait, why aren't you on Twitter instead? Twitter's where it's at these days, or something like that. And I used to get distracted and be like, oh my God, you're right. I should be on Twitter because things haven't been going that great on TikTok this week. And I got so distracted in 2021. I would just try all of these different platforms. I would try so many things. I'd have like 1 week where I was on Twitter, 1 week when I was on Snapchat. I had that week where I was exploring NFTs. And I barely advanced this year. I didn't make any YouTube videos. I didn't make that many TikTok videos either. And it's really disappointing to me. And I can't go back. I can't change what was, but I can change what will be. So my focus this year is just these 4 platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest. Those are my 4 platforms. If you see me looking up, it's because my sticky note is right there. What are the goals of my content? So I wrote down 9 goals of my content. How many pieces of content am I making every week for each platform? What are the words that I would use to describe my content? So the things that should be up on your sticky notes are the things you want to think about every day to get to where you want to go and to help you create. I also have 2 other sticky notes. I have sticky notes for my art. So I have a list of what art supplies am I using this year, because I also get easily distracted when it comes to art supplies. I'll be like, oh, I just heard about this new art supply. I should go buy it on Amazon right now. And like, what was the point of me making candles in 2021? I made candles a few times. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of time. I have some cute candles now, sure, but I shouldn't have bought bulk wax. Like, there are so many things that I got distracted by in 2021. That was the theme of the year, distraction. And then on my other sticky note, I wrote down motifs. Like, what are the things I want to draw? What are the patterns I want to use in my art? What are the colors? And that is really helpful. I call that like an art menu. If you go to a restaurant and they say, what do you want? They don't leave you with nothing. They give you a menu to choose from. And so I am treating my art the same way. If I have an art menu, I'm never gonna have, you never go to a restaurant and have restaurant block. You're never like, oh, I don't even know what to order here because I have to think of it from scratch. And I have to gather the ingredients myself every time before I go to eat a meal at a restaurant. That's not how it works. You have a list of all the food and you can read off that list. And then you decide from that list what looks best to you. I have the list on the wall, and then I can be like, oh, today I'm gonna draw slugs because slugs is written up on my wall. Whereas if it's in a notebook, I think I'm gonna forget that I even wrote down those ideas, and I'm gonna try to come up with ideas from scratch every day. So that is why I think sticky notes are so important. I highly recommend limiting yourself to one notebook at a time and one sketchbook at a time, unless you need different sizes. I used to have a notebook, a calendar, a journal, a calendar that had writing prompts. Oh my goodness, I had so many things. And this year I decided, nope, one journal. That's it. I write down my thoughts, my feelings, my schedule, everything in this one journal. And wow, has that helped? Because I used to take like 3 or 4 journals with me or notebooks everywhere I went. My purse would be so heavy. I'd be like, oh, but I need my journal in case I need to write feelings. I need my calendar in case I need to write what I want to do. No, one notebook for everything. That has changed everything for me. It has made my life so much easier. I buy less useless journals, and that's what I'm going to try to do this year. And I think it's really helping already. If you can, I highly recommend making your studio aesthetic. Make it a space that inspires you. I have art from other artists on the wall. I have these beautiful LED lights that I can change for the color that I like that day. I have my art up on the wall. I have so many things that inspire me. I also painted a lot of the wood in my studio pink because I thought that was prettier. If you rent and don't own, then you'll find other alternatives because you're an artist and you're creative. My last tip for you guys is to write quotes up in your studio. Not like 1,000. Don't make 10 quotes on sticky notes and put them everywhere in your studio. That's too much for me. I have ADD. I will be overwhelmed if I have that. I have 2 quotes up in my studio. I have the one behind me, shit art is better than no art. And then I have one in my art space, like in my painting space, that says, think less, create more. So those quotes are on materials where I can change the quotes. Those quotes don't have to stay there forever, but those are sort of the 2 quotes that I find help me the most create. Those are quotes I came up with, but you can also write quotes that you read on Pinterest, that you read someone else. You can write shit art is better than no art up in your studio. People have sent me sticky notes of that up in their studio. You can do that. Why not? If that idea helps you, write it down. The construction here is getting more intense, so I think I'm gonna wrap up this YouTube video for now. I highly recommend checking out my TikTok and my Instagram because I post cool stuff. If you like the earrings I'm wearing, check out my Etsy. Have an awesome day. Go create something. Go create a space that is functional and that serves you. Bye.